Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is on Capitol Hill at this hour, just days after Hamas released the first American Israeli hostage in more than a year. After 484 days in captivity, Keith Siegel, 65 years old, was freed on Saturday, surrounded by members of Hamas at first, before he was turned over, giving a wave to the crowd. This was a day that his family and his friends had been waiting for 15 months, especially his wife, Aviva, who was also a hostage, of course, until last November, for more than 50 days. She was released without him in November of 2023, was finally able to welcome him home. And Aviva Siegel joins me now. Aviva, it's so wonderful to see you. First of all, how is it having Keith home?
Well, I breathe differently, I feel differently, I feel like a different person. I just can't tell everybody how stressed I was for a year and 2 months coming back from captivity and leaving Keith there was the worst thing that could ever happen to me. And I'm just so happy to have him back. I want to say that when Keith came back the first day, he looked terrible. He's lost so much weight and he really looked pale, sick, and we're with him, we're hugging him, loving him, and he looks different and he's getting stronger and we love it.
I wanted to ask you because I saw him looking so thin when he came out on Saturday and being welcomed, of course, and embraced by you and your wonderful daughters. And then I saw an interview that we did in Tel Aviv yesterday with his brother Lee. But how is he doing physically and mentally?
He's in a shock. We're all in a shock. And he's completely in a shock, not understanding exactly that he's here already. And I can understand that being in Gaza for so long, for so many days and so many minutes, and just wanting to come back, not knowing if he'll ever survive and come back alive. And now he's here with us, hugging us, eating with us. And it's just beyond any word saying how happy he is and how happy we are. But I just want to say that having Keith home and hearing the stories of what he went through in captivity makes me even stronger, shouting for the hostages that are still there, that we cannot forget, that I think about, that the families think about, that the country thinks about. And I just want to remind everybody that the Palestinians in Gaza have rights, but the hostages that are still in Gaza need to get their rights back because they have hearts and they feel. And I just hope that they don't feel that they've been forgotten. We need them back as soon as possible. We need them back alive.
I've been talking to Ruby Chen and the Nutras and, Jonathan Sagi Chen, Sagi's father, rather, Jonathan Zechel Chen, and these other families, and they're desperate, but they are so happy for you, so happy that Keith is out. Elon Alexander also still being held. What did he tell you about the way he was treated by Hamas?
First of all, I want to say that all the families of the hostages, the ones that are alive and the ones that aren't alive, I want them to feel free like I feel today. I want them to feel the love that they have for this world. And until they won't get their hostages back, they won't feel like I feel, and they deserve to feel like that. Well, Keith he's getting stronger. Every minute I feel that he's a little bit better, but he's still in hospital. And we're going to look after him, and he's going to have lots of tests to do. And we're going to do everything that we can to make him feel like he's back in a decent world, in a world that can see him as a human being.
Was he afraid for his life? Was he threatened?
He was threatened so many times. He wasn't treated like a human being should be treated. And he went through so much of hell, of Hamas terrorists that didn't even see him as a person. And everybody needs to understand that all the hostages that are still there are going through what he went through, and it's just impossible for me to understand that it's taking so long. They're not even talking about deal number 2. They should talk about everybody coming home now. So I'm begging Trump, and I want to thank Trump for Keith coming home, and I want to thank him for understanding that it's not human for any person to be in Gaza as a hostage by the way they treated, like I was treated, and for him to understand how important it is to get them all out. And we need to push and scream and get them all out. That's the most important thing for this world. This world needs to understand that nobody should suffer like they're suffering.
You traveled all over the world, urging anyone who would listen to help bring Keith and the other hostages home. So your message to the negotiators, the Qataris, President Trump, Steve Witkoff, who's actually gone to Gaza and has been working so hard on this, your message about how important this is, the Egyptians and the others.
Yes, for sure. Listening to Keith and hearing what he went through. Keith is 65 years old, and what he went through is beyond anybody to understand what he went through, and we cannot let them stay there. We just can't. We have to get them out. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart of listening to me so many times in the MNBC, and it's because you're just such a sensitive person and understanding that this world needs to be a better world. So I want to thank you so much for that, for being so kind for Israel, so kind to my family and helping bringing Keith home.
Well, Aviva, it's your courage and your family's courage, your incredible daughters, that I applaud. And knowing you and continuing to know you in the future is a great privilege for me. Thank you.
It's an honor to be here with you today. Thank you so much.